Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Silver Tent TV. I'm your host, Siobhan Riordan, along with my dog Elsa, who may occasionally join in or even pop up and say hello. Be prepared. I'm delighted to have with me today Mary Lunnen. Mary is the founder of Dare to Blossom Life Coaching. She's also the creator of the Rediscovery Cards, which help you to explore and draw on that wisdom within. And she's also a nominee for the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Venus Awards. So we have here a very impressive woman over 50. A very warm welcome to you, Mary.
Thank you, Siobhan.
Now, Mary's story is lovely, if you saw on our previous show, because she's a woman who truly did dare to blossom as she moved into her 50s. And the Silver Tent has been set up to support women over 50 to live wild, wonderful, wise lives. And very much with that philosophy that as we hit our 50s, life is far from over, it's just beginning. And I think that's a great place to start, Mary. So tell us a little bit more about the Venus Awards and what you're up for and how that came to be.
Yes. I mean, it's something I've been aware of for some years. They've been running in Devon for quite a number of years. They're a regional award. It's the Venus Awards for women. And then I think 2 years ago, they extended to cover Cornwall as well. So the awards are covering Devon and Cornwall. And they have
those are two counties in the southwest of England, just for our international. So when you look at England and it has a foot sticking out, that's where we're talking about, down there in the southwest. Absolutely. Carry on, Mary. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay. As I always say to people, Cornwall's the piece that sticks out furthest into the Atlantic towards the Americas, if you want to call it that. So yes, we're out in the wilds, and Devon's the next county to us, which is a wonderful, varied place as well. So yes, they were set up a few years ago, and I think there's about 10 categories, something like that, maybe more. And there's been a sort of stage process. So I was nominated by somebody who chose to be anonymous. So I've no idea who nominated me, which is wonderful. But having received that nomination, of course, I couldn't ignore it. I'm not somebody who puts myself forward for awards, and you can do that. You can nominate yourself. And lots of people do them quite fairly. So it's a good thing to go for, and it gives them the status in their particular business or industry, perhaps. But I've never felt I wanted to do that. Having received this nomination, then I went through the application process, which involved writing about myself, which isn't always easy, and answering some questions. And then I went to the first event. It all happened very quickly. The first event was in January, just after Christmas. And that was the announcement of the semi-finalists, and there were 5 of us in my category for Lifetime Achievement. That's sponsored by a company with a local base, so I think they're a national company. And then just last week, there was another announcement, another event of the finalists. So we went along and had a beautiful manor house called Pentilly Castle on the Tamar in Cornwall, which is a boundary between Devon and Cornwall. And we all went along and had a cream tea in this beautiful manor house, which was great fun. And then the final, and the funny thing is with the Lifetime Achievement, they announce it as the final category that they go to, probably natural reasons. So it's always a great suspense for the whole of everybody else's announcements. And they'd organised it beautifully with the photographer this time. They'd taken everybody out of the side door. Once your category was announced, people were taken out and the photographs were done very quickly, and then you could come back in and follow the rest of the proceedings, which was great. So I was
very sparkling photos of you as well, Mary.
She's a very talented photographer. She's another young woman, Poppy Jakes. Yeah, she's just got that knack, and you don't have time to feel nervous. She just does it so quickly. Very good, yes. Yeah, and mine was the final name called of the final category of the whole awards. So now, yes, I've got to wait for the end of March now, so it's a little while. There'll be another interview with the sponsors. They interview people to make the decisions. And last time I didn't get to meet them. It was a rather rushed procedure for them for various reasons, and things happened within their staff which were not in their control. So I had a long conversation with a man on the phone. We had a great chat about this, that, and the other, and all sorts of different things, which was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. And now he and his colleagues have got the challenge of choosing between three of us, which I'm sure is absolutely impossible because everybody there is so inspiring. You know, I would gladly nominate or choose any of them to be the winners of these categories.
Well, it's great, and it's great to see your work receiving that kind of acknowledgement. We touched on something in our last interview, and we decided we'd come together again to explore it a bit more. And it was that expression, the quiet ones, and that you would be regarded as one of the quiet ones. And I think if you had a continuum, if you had extrovert and introvert, you'd put me here and we'd put you there. And so we thought that would be quite an interesting theme to explore, because if the Silver Tent is about supporting and celebrating women to not only really embrace their wisdom, but to look at ways to take it out into the world, you're one of those women that has done that, has found a way to take your wisdom out into the world. So what does being one of the quiet ones mean to you? Is that a compliment for you, or is it an aggravation for you? What does that expression mean to you?
It's really interesting because it really struck a chord when you mentioned it. And now we're sort of starting to explore it. It's quite a challenge to describe it, perhaps, what we actually meant by that when we thought it was such a good idea to talk about it. But it's meant different things to me during my life, I think. You know, when I was brought up in the 50s, and it was very much a time when children should be seen and not heard, and maybe best not seen either. And you know, I was always told to be quiet and be good, and you know, not upset daddy and all those sorts of things.
That expression, children should be seen, not heard, which I think many of our generation would be familiar with that.
Yes, exactly. And it's you know, there's a lot of wisdom in that, really. In some ways, it's good to learn to control your emotions and to behave appropriately in different circumstances and all those things. But then because I was naturally quiet anyway, maybe I sort of took that to heart too much and didn't speak up, and I would not speak up in class at school, and you know, all those sorts of things. And I carried on really into my working life. I don't think I was particularly shy or anything like that. I just liked being quiet, actually, because of my character. And that's what carried on. But in the working world, it's really set up for people who speak up. You know, those who shout loudest tend to get, to be honest, and tend to be heard. And there's those sort of business meetings, work meetings, where you know, you may have discussed things with colleagues, and then the person who's prepared to speak up loudest takes all the credit for an idea that might have been a team, you know, a team achievement, and those sort of things happen. And you know, but I've looked at it and worked with it over the years, certainly in my own coaching as being a coached person, being a coachee, if you want to use that expression. That's where I came into the coaching business, if you like, was using that tactic and that profession for myself to help me move forward and then be able to express myself. And that helped me a lot, was having somebody who's there just to listen to you and pay no attention to anything else. They're there for you for that time and just listen. That's very powerful, and it enabled me to speak out and hear my own words, hear myself think. It's what I offer to other people now. So,
do you like being one of the quiet ones? Do you see it as a strength?
I do now. I think for a long time I saw it as a weakness, as I shouldn't be that way. I should be able to speak out more. I shouldn't get flustered if somebody asked me to say something in public, those sort of things. And I realise now how far I've come, if you like. I've changed a lot. And one of the books I read not that long ago, but when it was first published, within the last 10 years anyway, which some people may be familiar with, is a book by an author called Susan Cain, and it's called Quiet. And the subtitle is The Power of Introverts in a World That Won't Stop Talking. And I think it's becoming more and more relevant, actually, because if you think of us being surrounded by all of the media, the social media, television, radio, everything is talking at us all the time. And you know, sometimes that power of quiet is really profound and really deep. and that power of being able to do that. And what reading that book did for me was to value what I offer as a quiet person, which is often in the listening and the hearing and choosing words carefully before I speak. And her point was that if we don't value and use that power of the quiet ones, the introverts, then the world is losing half the talents of half the people. Assuming they're about half and half, I don't know. But there's something about being able to have both in the world and value both, as in any diversity. So it's just another sort of diversity.
So in the Silver Tent, we talk very much about our responsibility, that we're responsible for the lives that we create. We're responsible for managing our own emotions. So where do you think your responsibility begins and ends as an introvert to speak out?
Yes, that's interesting calling it responsibility, isn't it? Because sometimes I see it in terms that I need to do it for myself to get my ideas over. But when I began this work 15 years ago, and particularly when I first wrote a book, well, actually I came first, then yeah, whichever way around it is, one of those things you have as a writer or anybody who goes out as a speaker is that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome part, where you think, well, who am I to do this? Who am I to write a book? There's so many books already. Who am I to produce a pack of cards? There's so many decks of cards already, all those thoughts. But how I turn it around is who am I not to? I do have a responsibility to the gifts I've been given in this life to share them. That's basically what I believe I'm here for, is I'm here for a reason. Sometimes it's simply just by being me, I can share that gift, and that's more and more what I've come to. There's something about the wisdom I've accumulated over my years and the knowledge I have and things I can share with people. And sometimes it's just sharing a little of myself and just being me that gives others the permission to shine too, in those famous words from Marianne Williamson. If we are, who are we not to shine? Who are we to make ourselves small, thinking that'll help others? It doesn't. It's the opposite. By daring to shine, daring to blossom, that's how I feel. That's my responsibility, to step out and be who I truly am in the world, and not be afraid of speaking sometimes.
And has that taken courage for you?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, again, it is, if you are actually going to be public speaking and on a stage, which I have done, that's terrifying, and it's naturally terrifying. And very professional actors and speakers and singers will all say the same. However professional and confident they come over, they nearly always get that feeling at the beginning of terror, probably. But I know that when I get through that there's a message there for me and for others I can share it with.
Because so that word daring is such a powerful word, isn't it? And so I'm thinking of all the quiet ones that are watching us here today, who are thinking, actually, I don't want to be quiet anymore, or like you, actually, I have something I want to share with the world. What tips would you offer those women?
The main tip process I use myself is taking small steps. You don't have to go to the Albert Hall and perform in front of the nation. You can do it locally in a small group of people and just stand up and talk, which is what I've done. Or you can write small posts on the Silver Tent. And I love seeing how that happens in the Silver Tent, because so often you get people saying, "Oh, this is my first post ever, and I've not long been here, and I've watched all these wonderful things happening, and I'm a bit, scared to share my words." And that's the same sort of thing as speaking out. It's speaking out in words, on written word. And I love seeing that. And then they'll get responses and all that support that comes flowing their way from everybody in the community. And then you see them blossom, you see them gain their confidence and take those steps and become really contributing members of the community. And then looking back over the years I've been a member, which isn't all that long, but it's quite near the beginning when I joined, it's absolutely magical to see the changes in people and the changes in their lives. And a lot of that is due to what's been created here by Francesca and all the early members of the Silver Tent.
Yes, no, it's wonderful. And you remind me again of what a fantastic community it is for all women moving into the autumn and winter of their lives, that this is a place where you can come and be supported and be encouraged to pursue those dreams that you have yet to realise, to discover your voice and find ways for expressing it in the world. It's a great place, I think, for us to end here today, Mary, but fascinating listening to you. I love your daring and I love your voice and the way it is out there in the world. And I know it's touched many, many women who have benefited from being encountering you and connecting with you.
Thank you. It's such an honour to hear you say that, and I know it's true. And that's the power of daring to, to speak out even when you are a naturally quiet person.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. A fascinating discussion on the quiet ones. Guess what? I'm not one of them. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been lovely. Elsa slept all the way through. May, wherever you are in the world, may the sun shine in your heart. This is Siobhan Riordan signing out. Thank you very much.